Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Bryan Air Podcast. In this episode, I sit down with Mauritz Faber, corporate pilot and founder of Avixoo Aviation, to explore how he's transforming the way aviation professionals connect with opportunities. Discover how Mauritz identified critical gaps in traditional recruitment processes and leverage his pilot's experience to create a platform that's changing the industry. From cockpit systems to digital algorithms, this conversation reveals how aviation skills can create a lasting impact far beyond the flight deck. Mauritz, has been a long time coming. Awesome to have you on the show, pal.
Bryan, it's more than a year that we have tried to make this happen, and finally we are sitting here. So I'm excited.
Finally, we are, and it looks like the timing is right because you've made some changes, and it'll be good to chat about it later on. But before we get there, Paul, can we just bring people in the loop? Give us some of your background, and in particular, your sort of career path to being a corporate pilot, which is what you do today as well.
Of course. So I started my career about 15 years ago. After I finished my commercial license, I had to obviously find a job. And the best way I figured out was to do the walk of shame. They called it back then the walk of shame at Lanseria, handing out my CV at every single company. And I kind of walked into this one company called Sefofane back then. And I had this great feeling of, I want to work at this company. So I decided every second Monday, I will walk in there with my resume at 11 o'clock. And I walked in there for about 6 months, every second Monday, until they gave me a job. At one time, the MD at that stage said, "What do you want?" So I just laughed. I said, "Well, I want a job. So I'm going to come until you hire me." So that's where it started. About a week later, after that, what do you want? He phoned me, he said, "Can you work Excel?" I'm like, "Yeah, 100%. I had no idea how Excel works." So I phoned my mom. I said, "Listen, teach me how Excel works." So she showed me a few things. I went in for the interview. I showed him what I can do. It's like, "Great, you can start the following Monday." So I started, and he basically said, "If you work for us for 6 months, we'll get you into Botswana, flying, maybe the 206 or whatever." So 6 months later, went to Botswana. They didn't give me a work permit because of flow time, and they said, "Only if you can get an instructor's type rating, they are instructor's rating, we'll give you a job." So I sold my car, then got the instructors, didn't get the job, started giving a little bit of instruction. And through instruction, I met a guy that worked for AirTech at that time. I did the interview with AirTech. I was back in the office doing gopher work for another year. And then I started flew for them for, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years. Then went to Airlink for a few years, and COVID came. After, we all basically got furloughed. I used my connections, which is why I also built Avixoo, to get a job in business aviation. And since then, I'm in business aviation.
So another one that used sort of COVID as a excuse, I suppose, to transition a little bit.
Of course. Airlines in corporate is completely different. So my advice to the younger pilots now, when I speak to them, is try everything, but you have to have a certain personality if you go to airlines, and you have to have a certain personality going to corporate. Certain personalities just don't fit in certain environments. So
And obviously, you're the man behind Avixoo. A lot of people see you on social media, punting the brand. You are the brand. What one could say. What aspects of your aviation experience prepared you most for your entrepreneurial challenges that you've come across in this new direction at Avixoo? Because that's really why we're here today. Although the aviation stuff is interesting, I know from you, because I can see the excitement in your face. If I'm going to sit here and you're going to talk to me about flying to Bloemfontein and Black, you're going to say, "No, it's not going to happen." When we talk about some entrepreneurial things and what you're doing behind Avixoo, you get this, your whole face changes. So that's what I want to hear about.
Yes. So Avixoo is obviously my baby. Not really, but it is. I started it just basically after COVID. The big thing that corporate aviation will teach you is that it's unstable. You never know when you're going to lose your job.
Mhm.
And I was faced with that. I flew a private jet for a year. The owner said, listen, we are going to buy a global, and he sent me for a global type rating, and the global never came. And 3 months later, he also sold his airplane. And all of a sudden, as lucky as I were during COVID finding a job, I also lost that job very quickly. Well, basically after a year. And then I thought, okay, how the hell am I going to find a job now? Okay. Then I thought, okay, I have to submit my CV at every single recruitment agency that's available. I have to join all 10,255 WhatsApp groups. By the way,
Yes.
all of the same people is on the same groups anyway, so I don't know why there's so many. And I thought, no ways, there must be a better way. You have Tinder who matches people. Why can't we have a platform that matches your skill, your personal wants, with a job with a company that's looking for someone exactly like you? Okay. So I went and I saw 2 or 3 developers. I gave them my idea and they said, nah, it's not possible what you guys are going to try. And I said, well, it is possible. It will be possible. And I finally got to 2 brothers in Bloemfontein, and I pitched my idea to them, and they said they can do it 100%. And then we started building it piece by piece, and yeah, now we have this thing that works amazingly. It really connects on a high level. I'll take you through it a little bit later. We really go into every single thing that a company needs in a pilot. We cover, whether it is they need a freelancer now at this specific airport, we can give it to them if the pilot is registered. If they're not registered, obviously we can't do the match.
Yeah.
If the profile is incomplete, the system will also not work. So we cover pilots and flight attendants. What else? What was the question again? Sorry, I'm going into this thing now.
You're going down the path I expected you to go down. You pitched this idea to me. When was the initial
Maybe
meeting?
4 years ago.
Maybe 4 years.
4 years ago, yeah.
You know, I get offered, not offered to be part of companies, but people pitch ideas a lot because, maybe checked us through the pod or whatever. And when you did yours, immediately I said, this is something that aviation needs, because we've sort of been through, and if you just take things local here, but narrow it down to South Africa, we went through many years of, you ain't getting into that airline unless your uncle's there or your father's there, and even on the corporate side, I mean, corporate was always like a bit of a closed group. Like it had it had the corporate guys, and if you weren't part of that circle, you weren't really getting in. And I think in a lot of ways, sort of quite far ahead of its time, Avixoo was even back then. But like anything, even like myself has been with the podcast, things evolve and things change. And I'm sure that what you're seeing today is very different to the vision that you had 4 years ago. And I think that's kind of the whole point, that it does keep changing. But what you find now is we're living in an era where you've got these incredible systems that can do work for you. If you can take it to a high level, like AI agents and things like that, you can have a secretary that's doing work for you. In a lot of ways, that was what Avixoo was doing back then, before this sort of rush of big AI came in. Just dumb this down for a pilot now that is flying at SAFair on a 737 and is looking, not necessarily saying, well, I don't really want to go to Emirates, but what the hell else can I do? How can your application help that guy?
Yeah. So, Bryan, and that's a good question, because I ask myself this question, okay? What is setting Avixoo apart from the other platforms that's out there, okay? Now, the first thing is we have to look at three things before you can get hired. Okay. These are the three things that I identified. Okay. You have to have visibility, credibility, and influence. Okay. So let's look at them individually. Okay. If no one knows you exist, if no one knows you are looking for something, okay, how the hell is anybody going to hire you? Okay. They don't even know you're there. So that's where our platform is brilliant, because if your grandmother wants to hire someone, they have access to our database. Okay. And we'll talk about security a little bit later, but we are the one platform that do not gatekeep our crew. Every single company have access to them when they are a match. Okay. So some pilot asked me the other day, but what if there's 200,000 people on your platform? How are they standing out? Well, that's the beauty of the filters, because the filter will not show your face to the recruiter if you are not a match with them. So that's doing two things. It's actually giving you real visibility. Visibility isn't me showing you to 10,000 people. It's showing you to the 5 people that you are right for. Okay. That's the one thing. The second thing is I'm helping the recruiter by already filtering out the people that is not a match for their operation. So that's the first thing. Okay. So if you're not part of Avixoo, the question is, why not? Are you honestly looking for a job? You have nothing to lose to be part of that. Okay. The second thing is we have to look at credibility. That's why we ask you to upload all your documents, upload your licenses, upload this, because all of these things are giving you credibility. Another thing that gives you credibility, we have the option for you to verify your identity. Because some companies said, okay, when I match with someone, I can't see their name. So how do I know I'm seeing a real person there? And I'm going to match with Johnny and not with Boeing Pilot 333, for example, as a username. Well, you have the option to verify your identity. We look at your passport, ID, or driver's license. And then once that's a pass, once it's, okay, so let me not just say once it passed. How does it pass? Okay. Now I have to take a step back. When we look at your document, we have to look at a few things. As crew, we share our documents around the world with everybody, including our passports, including our visas, everything. So the first question I had to ask myself, what if the company leaked your document? How do I know it's the real person that uploads the document? So first of all, once you go into the verification, it's going to tell you, take out the original document and take a photo of it. Okay. So now I know it's the original document that's being used for the verification. But the second thing is, how do I know that document hasn't been stolen and someone else is doing it? So now we take a selfie of you and it's comparing the face onto the document. And now I can say with certainty, this should be the right person. And then we hard code the name into the system. So the crew cannot change the name anymore. And naturally, your documents should match the name then once there's a match. So in that way, we help you with credibility by showing the companies who has been verified. And yeah, that's the credibility part. Okay. What's the third part is your influence. Then we have to look at how you influence people. The first place you have to have influence is in interviews. And sorry, do you want to say, Bryan, because I see you wanted to say something because I'm going fast.
No, carry on. Go.
Okay. Yeah. So the third place is influence. So I said, okay, how can I help people to have influence? So I put myself in, well, I'm a crew member, so I'm just using myself as an example all the time. As I sit here, this is unnatural. Sitting in front of a camera with a light, with a mic, with lights, it's all unnatural territory, okay? At least I've been doing it for a year. You've been doing it for 4, 5, 6 years, okay? So it comes naturally. Most interviews nowadays is online, okay? Yeah. The first stage is online. So how can I help the crew to get used to the environment of the interview? Well, I'm going to send crew on our community, which is our network. I'll talk about that later. We are sending 3 questions, 3 random type interview questions on the community. Okay. the question will be something like, tell me why we should not hire you today. That's actually a question someone got last week, okay?
Yeah.
Or tell me about yourself. Or tell me about a time you flew with a difficult captain, okay? Then we'll tell you the psychology behind the question, and then a framework to formulate your own answer. Because obviously you don't want to copy and paste answers from different people. It must be you that's answering. Okay. Now you have the question, you know how to answer it, but I still need to put you in the environment of the interview. Now, once you and I have spoken once, there's no more nerves. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like I know you. So what am I doing? I'm getting up to 10 people, also pilots, into a Zoom call. Okay. Where I will bring you to the front and I'll ask you a question, one of those 3 questions that we did the week. Ask you, tell me about yourself. Now you have the chance to practice the question in front of people. That's going to make you nervous. So now you're going to learn how to self-regulate, how to not do all these weird moves that you do when you're nervous.
Yeah.
And after that, we're putting you in the background. And why we're putting you there? Because now you can learn from the other guys' answers. You can learn from what they are saying. And at the end of the day, I think Avixoo is then giving you the whole package. We are giving you visibility, we are helping you with credibility, and we are giving you the opportunity to work on your influence when you go for the interview. Okay. And you touched on one thing, and that is, what about business aviation? It's a closed market, and it's like you have to know people. So if you are flying for Safair and you might not want to go for Emirates, but you're happy to do a corporate gig out of Dubai, how do you make these connections? Okay. Aviation is small, but yet again, we have 20,000 groups that people are part of. So I said, let's use a professional platform, not WhatsApp, because there's scammers on there. Let's use a professional platform for all the verified crew, and we put them into one space where they then can start working on their network. And
it's a wonderful model. It kind of, I've got this little catchphrase, an interstellar echo. It means, what is something that you can do that transcends into space? So it's basically, in simple terms, it works while you're out playing. And obviously for a pilot, that's easier said than done. We earn our money from flying from A to B. However, your skill set right now is incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
And what you can now do is, if you join Avixoo, put all your details in there, your little digital version of yourself, digital pilot Mauritz is on the platform and is busy out looking for opportunities while you're flying, while you're running a business, while you're at the beach.
Exactly.
So it falls very much in line with this whole principle that I'm just totally besotted about, because it's had a huge benefit in my life. Hearing you explain this isn't something that you quickly developed on ChatGPT overnight. It sounds complex. There's the development of it from the technical side. Can you take us through that? Obviously, you don't come from a big tech background. So how the hell did you get this to actually run?
That's a good question. I started on a piece of paper, where I say a lot of great ideas starts on a napkin. That's basically where my idea started. I said, what's the goal? The goal is to get a guy a job, or a flight attendant a job. Okay. Then what steps is involved to actually get there? And I basically reverse engineered the whole process. So I said, okay, first of all, we have to choose between a pilot and a flight attendant. Great. So that's the first option they have. And then I had to think, okay, what type of operations is there? There's permanent positions, there's freelance positions, there's rotational positions. So then I had to start going through the process of building filters for all of these different variables. And then we started testing each variable separately, seeing that it works. And I think the most difficult part was if you choose this filter, right? It's true unless you choose another filter, then it becomes false, and then it should throw the guy out. So that was the most difficult part.
an
Say again?
example of what one of those filters might be. So there'll be a few non-aviators looking at this that are going, hang on, they're talking about aviation, yeah, but this is kind of applicable to my industry as well.
Yeah.
What might one of those filters be? So you've got your skill set. You're a 737-800 type rated pilot,
Yeah.
but you've got only a Green Mamba South African passport. Is that going to impact?
Yes. So what's nice, so let's use the passport, for example. The passport, okay, how am I going to explain this? If you're in Dubai, for example, okay, and you are a pilot and you have a Canadian passport, okay, now the company says, I am flying to Europe tomorrow, but I need someone with a European passport or a Schengen visa, otherwise they can't go. It's not entirely true. Because if you have a Canadian passport, you can go to Europe unrestricted. So then you can still go. So our logic, we had to take your passport into account, tell the system, these passports can go to these countries unrestrictedly so that you don't miss out on opportunities like that. So that's a good example of when a filter is used in the background, not being selected by the company. Yeah.
So no doubt designing that, Mauritz, you expanded beyond the piece of paper.
Yeah, we did. Johan, who's also one of the partners in this, he sat and he took every passport in the world and he said, okay, this passport can go there. And then he starts with the next one. I think it took him a month or two just by reading in the data.
Yeah, it's incredibly interesting. And, interestingly enough, even though you pitched this idea, so long ago, and just bearing in mind, this wasn't a pitch wondering if you should start the business. You had already started everything and you were hell-bent that this is what you were doing. But even back then, you had a proper working model. It's not like this thing's only started working 3 or 4 months ago. No. This has been working for a long time. And you and I have had lots of conversations. You've sat with me and you said, Bryan, this thing is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. And you just want people to be on it so that they can benefit from it. So is there anything in particular that, look, it's very successful. It's running. It's a proper, but for me, it's a no-brainer. If you have a pilot license and you are not on Avixoo, then your little digital version pilot is not out doing the work. So it's a no-brainer that you've got to be on it. What pain points are you finding right now? Why is not every pilot in the world or cabin crew member in the world on the platform?
Yeah, if I knew the answer, they would have been on there. But number one, I don't think people understand what we do because, again, there's 20 other platforms that's claiming they do what we do.
Yeah.
But I guarantee
they showed me some rinky-dink one the other day, which is basically taking your model and it's a glorified WhatsApp group. Really?
Yeah, that's it. It's not what we do. Okay. You know exactly which one I'm talking about. So that's the first thing is how do I get past all the noise from the other people where if I make a claim, I can prove it to you. Where the guys that making these claims, you see, it's work. No, it's not working like that. It's not working. That's the one thing. The other thing is we work closely with the crew, okay? Because I don't know everything. So, for example, the passport thing, we didn't have that 2 years ago built in because number one, I never even thought of that. And I'm using the Canadian passport because that was the scenario that was given to me. It was a Canadian pilot who challenged me on that. I'm like, you're right, we can't do that. But guess what? 2 months later, we had it built in. So other platforms, you can reach out to them. You'll never, I'm not going to say never, but you hardly get a response. Where with us, we honestly listen to the feedback. And if it's valid, we'll implement it. There's one section, to give you an example with the aircraft. The guys are struggling there. I can obviously see on the back end where the guys stop. Now, you ask, why isn't every pilot on the platform? Well, my problem is, why aren't the pilots finishing their their profiles, okay?
Yeah.
Because at the moment, we've got almost 1,000 pilots on there, where maybe 300, 400 is complete, okay? So there's 60% that's not complete. And I see they all struggle when we get to tell me about your hours. I need to know exactly which aircraft you have flown, because in the back end, we know it's a multi-turbine, it's a jet, it's a this, which is on the company side filters. So if I don't know that you've done so many hours on a jet or on a piston or on whatever, the filters won't work. So then we had another challenge. And I'm still struggling to articulate this in a copy format, where if you've flown, let's say the Legacy, okay, by default, you can fly the 135 and the 145 as well. But ICAO sees it as 3 different designators: Echo 135, Echo 145, and Echo 35 Lima. So now in your logbook, you've only flown the Echo 35 Lima. But tomorrow, there's a job on a 135. So guess what? You can do it. So how do the system know that you can do it? Well, you tell us, let's create a entry and we categorize it by designator. Then you tell me, Echo 135, Echo 145, Echo 35 Lima goes into one category. And then the system sees it as, great, you are qualified for that position due to X, Y, and Z. Yeah. But then we have the flip side of the story. If we have the globals, the global is a BD 700, but their models is different. You have the Classic, you have the Vision, you have the XRS, all of those. So if you have the Vision, you cannot necessarily fly the Classic. So then we can categorize by model as well, so that you can say, listen, I can fly the BD 700, but only the Classic. So now the company comes and they say, I need a pilot tomorrow who can fly the Classic. You're not populating because you can fly only the Vision. So those are where I think there's a bit of confusion in. But once you've seen it once, it's really simple. You just need to understand why we're doing what we are doing.
Yeah, it makes sense. Hearing you talk about it, almost, like in a lot of ways, how people are using AI chat at the moment to get answers. Prompt engineering has become a business. Like there are literally people selling their prompts to use on ChatGPT. And the prompt is incredibly extensive. It can sometimes be 3, 4, 5 pages long. Background, what you do, who you are, core values, who you work for. And it's a little bit like this. The more you put in that prompt, the better answer the AI is going to give you back. Now, if AI can't give you back the right answer because you're not giving it all the information, then, I mean, nothing. The
problem isn't with the AI, it's with you.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But with this now, this is even, I would say, on one level higher, because it's so niche. And listening to you explain it there with, the Legacy and the 145, and these are things that, I mean, I cannot explain to you how many questions I get like that from pilots that have been flying 20 plus years. I mean, obviously being involved with Samero, Bryan, I need to come and do an ATR, a recurrent. I've got it on my EASA license, but I haven't flown for 5 years on my South African license. What do I need? It's a absolute minefield it's very difficult to figure it out. So if you've got a platform that is able to say, hey, you go worry about the flying, we'll sort the rest out, I think it's awesome. And I understand the pain point. We have the same issue in lots of ways. For us to receive pilots to the training facility to come and train, we need all their details, because how do we know? You can't go and do an IF renewal if you don't have a valid license at the moment. So for us to accept your training, we need to see that, okay, you are current, you've done this, you've done that, you've got all the boxes ticked, but we need that information. Do you know how difficult it is for us to get that information?
100%. I can believe you.
You'll have a booking that's been there for 6 months and it's due to start tomorrow, but we haven't accepted the training because we can't actually tell if the guy's license is valid. Then we'll get the stuff, but he hasn't sent his logbook. Then he hasn't sent his medical. Then you're going back. So I can imagine it's a pain point for you.
But now imagine this then, right? If let's take Avixoo out of the game, okay? What is your alternative, okay? At the moment, you have to apply for each position. Every company is going to ask you, send me your last 3 pages of the logbook, send me this, do this, do this, do this. Your options is, listen, I create my profile on Avixoo, I upload everything, and then in app, we can share everything, like the company sees what they need to see, blah, blah, blah. So you essentially do it once. And the company never have to phone you and say, please send me this, please send me this, please. They have access to it. Within limits, again, this is where the training will come in, because we've made it very simple to share documents in and out. But again, safety is what we had to take into account, blah, blah, blah. But the point is, you have one profile, you spend 2 hours on it, and I'm saying 2 hours. I can help you with your profile and set it up in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I have an advantage, it's my system. I know how it works, but it shouldn't take you more than 2 hours. If there's any issue, I think our support is really good. It's either me or one of my team members who will jump on a call with you and tell you, okay, what is it actually that you're trying to do? Okay, let's set it up like this. Cheers, it's done. Enjoy your life. We'll let you know when there's something. And that's it. Yeah.
A lot of questions, if you have a look around the world at a lot of these aviation expos that are going on, there's a lot of them at the moment, because there's a lot happening in the industry. There's a lot happening around the world. I suppose there's a bit of a the next sort of industrial revolution going on, particularly with AI. And one of the questions that get asked a lot is, how is technology, and they use AI, but you put AI in there, is how is AI going to affect our industry that we're in? Now, I don't think any of us expect that within the next few years, there's going to be a robot sitting in the flight deck, and it's going to fly you from Joburg tonight to Heathrow. None of us think that that's really going to happen. Certainly, I'm not getting in an aircraft if there is an AI, because some of the questions that I still get answered are not accurate enough.
Not accurate.
No. But if someone asks me, how will technology change aviation, and in particular with us now, change aviation careers, I believe it's something like this, where your options, your perceived options, becomes much wider. So, you're born in South Africa, you've got a few options. You can fly at this airline, this airline, or this airline. And if you don't want to fly there, well, go to Emirates, because you don't have a British passport, so you can't go fly for Ryanair. So your world is pretty small.
Yeah.
However, it is getting bigger, and you're seeing slowly but surely, but you actually can go fly there, and you can go and do. And this application of Avixoo is opening that up, because instead of you sitting down and making phone calls and researching, it's doing all the work. It's basically matching you and saying, hey, Mauritz, you sort of tie up with this position. Are you interested?
Yeah.
And the other thing that it ties up with, Mauritz, and I'm sure you've seen this, is that we are a slightly older generation, where when you decided to become a pilot, I think it was in your mind that I'm going to do this until I'm 65, and then I'm going to retire, and that's going to be it. When we chose a career, the career was very, very long-term forward thinking. All right. But the youngsters today do not think like that.
No.
And the people today just simply don't. The careers are going to be shorter. They might not exist after 3, 4, 5 years. So no one is thinking 20, 30 years in advance. You're thinking 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
And this is again why it just fits so nicely into this aviation gap. And it's been a major sort of bottleneck for many years that you've now I suppose it's changing aviation careers in many ways. And that, for me, it's if you ask how technology is going to affect aviation, I think it's just more options, more
My one thing that I would say, and it ties in with what you just said, people don't think long term anymore. And you can probably relate with this with your podcast. If you decided after 6 months, this is not for me, you're gonna be a pilot for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You kind of have to decide where's the pain points which you face,
Yeah.
and then start solving them. And don't think you're going to solve them in 6 months or a year or 2 years. I mean, this is my 5th year building it. And it's only now that I feel that, listen, we understand what we are trying to do. We understand that when I first spoke to you, Bryan, my app, that's my business. No ways. Now it's not my business anymore. It's part of the business.
Yeah.
However, I saw, okay, it's actually more to the whole recruitment thing. I'm really trying to solve this issue that I have, right? And that is the whole visibility, credibility, influence. Part of the credibility and visibility is your network. So I invested in another platform that I brought into Avixoo, because that's the way to solve the networking part. And again, if people see it, if they have seen it and they're like, shit, we don't know that's what you do.
Yeah.
But how do you, again, break through the noise? So if someone decides to start another business, you have to be in it for the long run, because it's not easy to break. You think it's easy. It's not. It's not that easy. No.
It's a nice segue into the community, because if we speak about networks, like networks in aviation have been everything, because it was who you knew.
Exactly.
You're a outgoing sort of extrovert type of guy. You got lots of mates. You've got a big network yourself. Most pilots, I'd say, don't fall into that category. They rely on knowing 1 or 2 people that hopefully know 10 people, and then they, but your community that you've built, you mentioned you've put a lot of effort into it, and it's not, I've seen it, and this is no WhatsApp group. This is a proper, fully functioning community. Just take us into the community a bit. Give us some why must I be part of the community?
Okay, so first of all, what gives our community credibility? The fact that every person that's in the community has been verified. Okay, you cannot be part of the community if you have not been verified. The reason for this is, nowadays on WhatsApp, you have these scammers that all they're doing is identity theft. Okay, so they will create this WhatsApp group and say, guys, I have a job out of, I don't know, name any place. Please send your resumes. Listen, you'll be shocked to see what people send nowadays in an email. I mean, if I put out a job ad, then I get the guy's passport, I get their visas, I get everything, right? And the job doesn't even exist. Not my jobs exist. The scammer's jobs doesn't exist. So if you're part of my community, I kind of reduce the risk of that happening. It cannot happen. Part 1. Part 2 of it is, it's only pilots and flight attendants that's in there, apart from our partners now, which we'll get to in a second, okay? So whoever you are talking to is in aviation, okay? Now you are building an online kind of network first, but I don't believe a network is online. I say, yes, it is. I might know of you, but you're not in my network. What is the real function of a network? A network is when someone mentions your name in a room you are not present, okay? That's a network. Why are they mentioning your name? It's because they know you. They know your circumstances. They know if this job would be working for you or not. So I said, okay, let's start it online, but then we have to give the guys the ability to go offline with it. So the second you travel, let's say to Dubai, in the community, there's a tab or there's a space called Connect with Crew near you. You can go onto that tab and say, guys, I'm in Dubai for the next 5 days. Anybody wants to meet up for a drink? Now, the next question is, okay, I want to do it, but I don't want to share my number, because how are we going to do this? I don't want to share everything in the chat. Well, there's an option in the community to start a DM conversation with the person. Now, you are actually meeting new people offline in a safe way, okay, and building your actual network. And you can do this with most countries. All I need to do is add a new country if there's one that I see there's a need for. So that's the one part.
In a safe way, you say, is key there, because it's general interest thing. It's your profession, and you wouldn't have got on there had you not been verified.
Verified.
So,
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Then I looked at the typical conversations that's happening on different WhatsApp groups, and I'm taking flight attendants into account as well. Okay. They talk about catering. Where do I find caterers? Where do I do this? Where do I do this training? And. Okay. So what I've done is I approached some of the leaders in that field, and I asked them, would you like to be part of this community? And they looked at it. We had a few conversations, and they said, yes, we are now part of this community, which means by you being in our community, you have access to people that you would not have access to if you're not part of the community. Okay. And these are international people, some of them in Switzerland, some of them are in Dubai, some of them are in the US. So through my network, I'm actually helping you building your own network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these days, we need that. I mean, that's why we use things like LinkedIn and all that is to expand our networks. It's about what you know.
Exactly.
Right. Can we get into some nitty-gritty things here? You pulled something up earlier. You showed me. Let's jump on and actually let's show people what it looks like. And it's a world-class platform. It's neat, it's clean, it's got everything on it that you would expect. Including this community, which hasn't always been there. It's a sort of I think something that is, like you say, developed. That's become the business.
Yeah.
But if we can bring something up here to show people, or at least what you would like to show.
Yeah. So first, I'm going to show you, depending on the time, I'll show you two searches. I'll show you one flight attendant search and one pilot search. Okay, they're quite different from one another, but the flight attendant search is a much quicker process. A lot less filters, and I can actually show you how the filter reduces crew, and then we'll go into the pilot one to show you what type of filters we have, so that you know why I'm asking the questions I'm asking from your setup.
Sure.
So
the sharing of screens is always even on a Teams meeting.
Yeah, that's it.
Bring the right screen up here.
I don't want to go through a wrong one.
The wrong tab.
Oh yeah, it's only for research purposes that tab is open.
All right,
okay, so this is what a recruiter would see. Okay, so I'm now a recruiter. And like I said, anybody has access to that. Even the chief pilot of the smallest company have access to this, okay? So first thing, instead of placing an ad on LinkedIn or WhatsApp or whatever, they'll go to Recruit. So let's say we are looking for a flight attendant to do a flight tomorrow out of Dubai, okay? And the flight will go to Europe. So we ask them, do you want a pilot or do you want a flight attendant? So they say, we want a flight attendant. And this is where the filters start. So the first filter we have is it a permanent position or a freelance? So this will be a freelance position. The date will be from tomorrow, so the 31st until the 2nd. Why do we ask this? Because on the other side, on the pilot or the flight attendant side, they have their own calendars, which means they can block off the days that they are not available. Which means if one of your unavailable dates fall within this time range or date range, then you won't show up to the recruiter, which means we don't waste your time or their time. Okay. Then operation type, let's say it's a private 91 operator. Job region will be out of Asia and the United Arab Emirates. Okay. And then availability should be immediately. These are the minimum filters. But now we can go a little bit deeper if we say we want someone at the specific airport. Why did we do that? Because the flight might leave in 3 hours. Let's say the flight leaves in 3 hours out of Cape Town. Then I don't want someone in Joburg or anywhere else. I want someone in Cape Town. And that's why we had the option to include the airport so that we find crew around the airport for the company. Okay, so now we go search. And this is what a typical table of a recruiter would look like. They'll put a job ad out and they will be bombarded with resumes. Okay.
Yeah.
So some of them might be in the US, okay, or Europe. We said the flight attendant needs to be in Dubai. So now we go location specific on, and we go search. And now it filtered out everybody who's not in Dubai. So these are all Dubai-based flight attendants. Then we can say, actually, we are looking for someone with a European passport because we are going to Europe. So we go search, and now we are left with 6 flight attendants. Now the company might say, okay, I have the 6, but the owner is Spanish speaking. So we are looking for a Spanish speaking flight attendant. Mm-hmm. We go search, and now we are left with 2 flight attendants, which means we went from 600 resumes to 2 resumes by using filters. Okay. And you can use any filter that is suitable to your position. So if you don't use it, we say, well, then we'll consider everybody who, we will consider anything. If you specify something, we obviously consider the selected. Now, you can see we said we are taking safety quite seriously. So you can't see the flight attendant's name, but you can see she's been verified by looking at the verification. If you look at this flight attendant, you can't see her name, but she's also not verified. Okay.
Why would she not be verified? What's happened that she is not verified?
She just didn't pay the money, and she didn't fill in. So okay, let's talk. Okay, let's take a step back. If you want just your resume on the platform, it's free. If you want access to the community and verification, there's a cost of $50 to that. Okay, that means we will take you through the verification, and you'll get the badge. I don't know why she's not verified. Maybe she didn't want to spend $50, or she doesn't know about the verification. But now it's quite hard not to miss it, or to miss it, because we actually prompt you for it once after you have set it up.
And obviously here we're seeing the value of being verified, because if I was this recruiter, no doubt I'd be taking the candidate there on the left, even though she's got 6 years less experience than the one on the right, simply because she's verified.
If I go one step back and research, and we took out the language, you'll see that all the verified crew are popping up first, and all the unverified crew is below them. So by being verified, you're also being pushed to the top of the pile. Another thing that you'll notice is some of these flight attendants have this little book next to them. Okay, that means if I'm the company and I've paid for a profile already, okay, I don't want to pay for them again. Okay, so now we have the option to add them into our crew list, which they are now part of this company. So every time the pilot or the flight attendant updates any documents, the documents on the company side is updated automatically. So the company won't ask you, please send me your new license, please send me this, please send me that, because they have it already. So
Mauritz, just go one step back there for me. So obviously the recruiter, how are you? You obviously we got flight crew here, or cabin crew. How are you connected to the recruiter? Are they also paying? I suppose they're the ones that need the crew, so they're the ones that need you the most.
Yes. So I'm just going to stop sharing for a second, and I'll talk to you about that. So the way the payments work is, for the recruiter now, the company, they can subscribe 100% for free. They can run a search for free. Okay, I'm not charging for that. If they find someone, okay, then they have the option to engage with them. Okay, by looking at their resumes, I want to engage with these 2 or 3 flight attendants. We are charging $50 per engagement. Okay, so the second you press the button, engage or send request, we are taking 1 token. 1 token equals $50. If the flight attendant sees, I'm not interested in this company, and they decline before any data was shared, they get the token back immediately, and they can reuse it on someone else, which means the company has 0 risk. They search for free and they engage. They only pay once they actually find a candidate they can talk to. Okay. Now people say to me, but companies are used to pay $500 to $1,000 per candidate. Why are you 50? Okay. I said, I hear that, but here's the thing. I want to give the company the best chance to find the suitable candidate for their operation. And I want to give as many crew the option to interview with the company. Okay. So let's say the budget is $500 to fill the position. That means the company can engage with 10 different flight attendants to fill their position.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. The second thing is they're not losing the crew that they already paid for. They can now put them into their crew list. Okay. And from there, everything is managed for them.
Okay.
And, okay.
Yeah.
So is that answering your question? For the pilots and the flight attendants, they can subscribe for free. Okay. No cost, fill in everything and find a job.
Yeah.
By not paying 1 cent. Okay.
Yeah.
It's only if you want to be verified and you want us to help you build your network. You want us to help you with the interviews, all of those type of things. Then there's a cost of $50 for flight attendants and $70 for pilots.
And is that once off? Is that just for a year? Well, that's a pretty good deal. I mean,
that's a half a day's per diem.
Yeah, honestly. but not even that. I mean, we're paying, for each bloody AI, large language model, you're paying $20 for the plus version there, or $20 for that one, and it's per month, and that one's 27, and so that's not bad at all, and it's for your
really
career.
Not money. Listen. I said if we can find you one job in 10 years, okay?
Yeah.
What did you spend? $500. You made that back on your first job.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like it's really a no-brainer. So if someone really they don't have cash, which if you are starting out as a pilot and you don't have $50, I don't think you're going to get your PPL, okay? Because that's expensive nowadays. So if someone says it's too expensive, okay, then I can't help you because I can't go cheaper because I pay for everything that I'm doing at the moment. So. Yeah,
you pay for quality, and in a lot of ways, with something like this, I want to pay for it. I want to know that the product that I'm getting here is of high value, and unfortunately, you're just not going to get that through a free product. Yeah, for sure.
No, because where's the support? There's no support.
No.
Imagine I have to tell the developers, listen, you need to make all these changes. They're like, okay, but it's costing us money. It's resources. It's 6 or 7 guys that's developing. Who's paying their salaries?
Yeah.
Just do it for free. Why? It's not going to happen, right?
But even you don't want it for free. You want to know that you're paying these guys so they're going to get it right,
Exactly. Yeah. So let's go back to the screen.
Yeah, bring it on.
So now you have engaged, or you're going to engage. So the way you engage, you go view profile, and you can see what documents these flight attendants uploaded. I can see what passports, what visas. So remember I said that we keep your documents safe. So even the company can't click on these documents. It won't show them anything. It will just tell them, listen, you have this, okay?
Yeah.
And also we don't share your name. Now we want to engage with the crew. So I'm going to send this flight attendant a request. And now the company will see once they go to engagements, they'll see that there was one engagement sent, or one candidate was selected for this particular job. No one accepted, no one declined. If they click on it, you'll see that we still keep all of your data private up to the point when the crew says, listen, I'm happy with the company, I'm going to engage with them. And then only we open up your name, number, and email. Our job is done. You are talking to the company, and what happens from there is between you and the company. We're not involved in it. Yeah. So that's the process for flight attendants. Pilots, a similar process. If we go to recruit,
obviously just more sort of filters along the way.
Just a lot more filters. Here we go to license type, medical class. When last did you do your recurrent? Wasn't in the last 6 months, 3 months, 9 months, 12 months. English proficiency, okay, passports, visas, total time. So how many PIC, total hours, PIC on type, takeoff and landings. These are all things that either going to give you the job or it's going to disqualify you. And the more filters the companies use, the more accurate the search becomes.
The disqualification of a job is as big of a thing as the getting the job, because how many times people go through this rigmarole of a process. Ryan and I did it with Air Japan at some point, and it was like, honestly, I don't want this job before it even got to the end, because it was such a story. And then you get to the last phase, it's like, oh no, sorry, you don't qualify because of something random, maybe you don't have a yellow fever certificate or something stupid, So you go through all this time that you've wasted, and now you don't
meet one thing. It's I had this call with a pilot just before we had a call. I'm looking for crew in Dubai for a company, and I know this guy qualifies 100%, but it's not what he wants, right? And I ran a search, and his name didn't come up. I thought, let me just call him, okay? Because I know his situation. I'm like, hey, this job is available, right? Can I match you? Can I link you guys? Like, tell me. I said, you like perfect, except this thing. He says, no, I don't want it. I'm like, perfect. The system works. It kicked you out, but because I know you, I'm just going to ask you the question anyway. So,
No, I love it, Mauritz. I really do. I did when you first pitched me the idea. Still today, I think it's world class. I think it's a wonderful thing that pilots can use to transcend their value beyond the day to day. And you know what interests me so much there is, when you were doing the flight attendant demo, you were looking at like 4 or 5 days sort of window for an opportunity to do a job. Now, for me, that is like the ultra modern way to do stuff. I've got a skill set. I'm not doing anything for the next 5 days. I want to earn some money using my skill set for the next 5 days. Boom. And off you go. And sometimes you're going to get lucky, sometimes you're not. But obviously with this, I suppose the more the recruiters see the value, and then the users obviously start getting offered more and more and more. Geez, how did you get that position? Oh, well, through Avixoo. Then it's gonna snowball.
We have this chicken egg scenario, right? Where every company I pitched, they said 100% we're going to use you. Okay, where's the crew? Like, if you are there, they come. And the crew is like, but if they are there, I will come. So who do you get first? So, and that's why I said to the crew, just upload your resumes. It's for free. Okay, if you don't want to verify it, you don't want the risk, just go through the process, upload everything. The companies will come. I have my connections. I am connecting with companies every single day. Just do your part. Okay, I can't do anything without you. Can I show you our WhatsApp version of community building?
Yeah, please pull that up.
So this is our network. Okay, so you have your feed up there. So there's a bird strike happened a few years ago. One of my friends, Ferdi Boshoff. Oh, can you edit that out, please? Don't say
that. No, it's staying in. It's raw, bro.
Oh shit. Okay. Okay. He had a bird strike. This is quite not a mossy, right? So we had a global conversation. I posted this. Then people can comment on it. Someone else commented aircraft that went through hail. So that's that. Someone posted a sunrise. Okay, I posted. There's some silver service plating skills that some of the flight attendants have.
Yeah, that's a big thing I see on the flight attendant side. Something I wouldn't have even thought of. The whole the service side. It's not just coffee or tea. It goes a bit deeper.
Of course. So then we have on our left the main chats, okay, or the main spaces. So if there's an announcement, I'll announce it on here. I usually try and do it either in a video format. It will give me more confidence later in my life, I believe, to speak to people. And This is a new pilot who's now part of the team. She's helping the crew with setups. So as we grow, I sign up new people. She's actively flying still. Then if there's any questions, ask it in Mauritz and the team, okay? Because one of us will be able to answer it. If it's something where I need to share my screen, I would do that in a video format, and then help the crew by nailing their setups through this space. If there's any events that we have, we'll post in events. VIP lounge I'm busy with, so no one will see that. Then there's the main group, the main space, which is the global community. Here we ask the people to introduce themselves, because obviously we want to know each other, okay? So someone might say, like, who's in Poland? Someone is in Poland here. I can't remember who's that. Here's one from Sweden. So let's say someone is looking for a Swedish flight attendant, and they're in the community. They don't even have to advertise. They can go directly to her name, click on message. So click on her name, go to message, and reach out to them directly, right? Then we have networking tips. So I post some networking tips there. Challenge and response is just normal conversations about certain topics that I think is important. Connect with crew near you. This is where I found that we can take the online offline. So if you go to Dubai, for example, you can click on Dubai, and here I said, hi everyone who's free on Saturday. I'm thinking of going for lunch, blah, blah, blah. Someone replied, they might be available. I made a joke. Listen, pilots don't really work. So it's a bunch of pilots chilling on the beach. So we really take the community, I think, to a next level using this platform.
And then we haven't skimped on the platform. It's a real nice platform.
We have the catering in here. So we partnered up with Delhi Sky. So you have direct access to Delhi Sky, whether it is going to the website, the registration, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the tabs are there. If you want to ask them something, you just go start post it in there, and they will come back to you. If you want to ask the crew about certain recommendations, so you are going to, let's say, Echo Delta Delta Bravo, okay? You can use Berlin. You can use Roxanne's company, okay? She's also amazing. But now, let's say there's 1,000 different companies in here already, or airports, okay? I asked the crew to do to upload it in this format, okay? It's like Lima Foxtrot Bravo Zulu, or where's the one you just saw? Echo Delta Delta Bravo, which means now you can go to search Echo Delta Delta Bravo, and it will bring up all the conversations regarding that specific airport. And then you can filter it further to go to space and say, actually, I only want to see catering, the catering recommendations. And now you see the caterers available for that airport that's on the platform.
I love it.
So that takes it away. Then partners, we have a partnership with Dynamic and Intertwined Aviation. So if you go on the Dynamic, you can go to the website, Instagram, LinkedIn there, read up on them, watch a video, talk directly to them if you would like. So we're just honestly connecting you with industry experts. And hopefully we'll get you on there soon.
For sure. By this afternoon, I'm going to be on your community. So if you want to chat me up on there, feel free. Mauritz, I want to take you away from Avixoo for 30 seconds and ask you a question. You're an entrepreneur, you're a business leader, you're someone, when I think of someone in the aviation recruiting space, certainly your name pops into my head. What tech or tool or software besides Avixoo are you using right now that you find has been able to amplify your impact the most?
ChatGPT, 100%. Okay, where ChatGPT, if you look at ChatGPT 5 years ago versus what it's capable of doing now, again, you touched on prompts earlier. Okay, there's a certain way to use it. Obviously, you can't just use it blindly. I think there's a lot of courses, good courses on how to use it. I think that changes, that has a massive impact. The function that I use the most on it is the deep search function. So you tell it, listen, I'm doing research on this. Please pull up any data that has X, Y, and Z and give me a summary or whatever the case might be. Okay. And it will do exactly that. So essentially, it's doing what I would have done, which would have taken me 3 or 4 days. It's doing in 20 minutes. And now I can continue with what I need to do. So that, and then Loom. I also like using Loom. The reason for that is it's a video software, so it's videos. You can do your video on there. It takes out all the ums and the ahs, and you can speed up a little bit. Like it makes it quite nice. And then you just share the link. You don't have to upload big files anyway. You just share the link. People can watch the video, and that's it.
Yeah. So again, both those things that you mentioned have a lot to do with time savings, so that you can actually do the stuff that you're trying to do. I mean, ChatGPT, like you said, you can do deep research. It would have taken you a week to a month to get that information. You're not getting that information in just as good quality, almost immediate. Sometimes it takes 10 minutes or so to produce. And then, like you say, with the sharing of videos, now you're sharing a link because maybe it saves you, 5-10 minutes of video. But if you're making lots of videos, that adds up. And if you can be pedantic about your time, like I'm not going to waste a second, then you have to do things like that. And it ends up becoming a bit of you get momentum. You start doing everything that way. You start thinking, how am I saving time? How am I transcending this time into space? So, Mauritz.
There's a little bit of a trap, I would say, with ChatGPT as well. It gives you this false sense of it knows everything and it's like accurate or whatever. Nothing beats the human conversation. So if I have to think of something new that I want to implement, ChatGPT is not the one that's going to give you that, right? Because you have to get different opinions, because especially in aviation, we are all from different countries, different, what's the word? Not nationalities. Say again?
Cultures.
Yeah, cultures. That's the word. So if you just use ChatGPT, he knows your tone, your kind of background, and it gives you what it thinks you want to hear. It's not the way. Speak to different people and create your product from
where I'm encouraging people that aren't using it to use it is just to start a conversation. A lot of us, we don't like talking, so we keep everything inside. We have these grand ideas of things that we want to do. We're not quite sure what they are. We can't quite articulate them. Well, nothing quite like having a chat, and bearing in mind, you don't have to type it in anymore. You can actually
just talk.
And you can have this conversation that you don't need to be shy about, because you're talking to an AI. It might just prompt one little idea, one little spark that, hey, this is an opportunity and I can run with it, and it might just change your whole life. So I'm glad that you chose that as a point. Mauritz, where can people find you? I mean, if you don't know where to find Avixoo, then I don't know what rock you've been living under. But where do you want people to connect initially?
Yeah, so obviously our website, which is www.avixoo.com, and then my personal email. Like I said, I don't have 600,000 emails a day at the moment. I am lucky enough to respond to every single email. So that's just my name, Mauritz@avixoo.com. And I think once we are connected, and LinkedIn, of course, as well. If you can hook me up on LinkedIn, any of those places, I'll respond within a day or two, depending on my flying schedule. We just spoke this morning, and I said, listen, I'm open. I'm not going anywhere. And just before the call, I told you, listen, I'm on my way to Dubai tonight. So, just give me a few days. If I don't respond, I will respond. And then, we can take it from there.
Thanks, pal. It's been awesome chatting to you. Always end up leaving a conversation with Mauritz feeling energetic. You've got a way of transferring your high energy optimism and your ambition for things across. So it's always nice to chat to you, and no doubt we'll have you on again very soon.
Thanks for the opportunity, Bryan.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Bye for now.
Cheers, bye.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode with Mauritz. Yeah, I certainly did. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for anyone out there that is looking to expand their horizons a bit and see what else the world has to offer. It's a wonderful time to be in any industry, and no more so than aviation. The world really is open to you. I hope you will be back soon. If you know anyone that you think might enjoy this episode, please share it along and subscribe, thumbs up as per usual. Thanks for your support. Bye for now.